Robert Citino, the senior historian at the National World War II Museum in New Orleans, is here in Normandy. Bob, good morning. Thanks for being here again.
Thanks, Anthony.
The invasion began on Omaha Beach, which is just beyond the trees we see behind us here in the cemetery. What was at stake?
You know, the simple answer to that is everything was at stake. World War II had been raging now for 5 years, and it was time to bring it to an end. Every month it extended. It was more death, more mass murder, starvation. The situation couldn't have been more dire. Certainly the Germans were taking their lumps, but it was time to end the Hitler problem once and for all, and that's what was at stake in the D-Day invasion.
This invasion had been planned for literally years.
Yes.
Could it fail?
It's entirely possible the D-Day invasion might have failed. Any time you have anything this complex, air, land, sea, 150,000 troops, thousands of tanks and planes, I can think of 100 ways the D-Day invasion could have failed. A sudden storm could have wrecked the D-Day invasion, and they happen all the time here in the Channel.
And was this really a one-shot deal? Would they have been able to pull this off again?
Because of the size and scope and complexity. If it doesn't work, it's not like you have a second shot in the chamber.
Winston Churchill said this vast operation is undoubtedly the most complicated and difficult that has ever taken place.
I would back that up 100%, and I think it's true even to the present day, even here in 2019.
Will we ever see anything like it again?
Hard to imagine. You learn never to say never in the historical business, but it's hard to imagine anything of this size and scope.
When you talk about the planning, there was even actually a fake operation that they constructed to distract the Germans, correct?
So we put George Patton in charge of a Phantom Army group, first U.S. Army group. We fake radio messages, inflatable tanks that looked like real tanks from aerial reconnaissance. We were pulling, leaving nothing untried. You know, we had to have every advantage, and a little bit of deception is always a good thing.
When you consider the volume of military personnel and equipment that was at stake here, because you had 150,000 men, you had thousands of planes and ships, how was that coordinated?
It was coordinated in a good old-fashioned style. Pieces of yellow legal pads and sharpened pencils. This is the heart of analog technology, of course. Nothing is digital. There's no GPS to tell your troops where they're going. So this is old school.
It is old school. And the veterans that we've seen here today, they were part of that. They understood how epic it was at the time and remains. What is their legacy at this point? There are so few of them left.
Their memory. Once they're gone, memory becomes history. It's no longer a living, breathing thing. It's words on a piece of paper. I write books myself. But you have to have that tie with the actual person who fought. You know, at the National World War II Museum, we've done 10,000 oral histories to make sure that the memories of these veterans are always going to live on.
Yeah, and as we can see them, for those who were here today, this ceremony meant an enormous amount to them. Robert Citino, thank you very much for being with us.
Thanks, Anthony.